Hey guys, how's it going? Nate here, and today I have a quick review for you of the Dewalt DCS570 cordless, brushless circular saw with the full 7¼ inch blade. My reason for purchasing this saw was because I wanted a cordless saw with a little bit extra power that had the full cutting depth on it without having to upgrade to flex volt, because I had Dewalt 20-volt max tools and batteries already, and so I wanted to be able to cut longer and cut deeper material out on the job site without having to upgrade all my batteries. And so let's talk about the features of the saw real quick. It's got the lock up here, which is a pretty good feature. Actually, I like just the way that it's designed. It's an easy lock feature. It doesn't stick. So it's got 57 degrees of beveling capability, and it has detents, I believe, at 45 and probably 22.5, something like that. But a couple of detents there to make it easier to cut. It's got a really nice beefed up cutting plate on it, and a couple other parts of the saw are also better quality than metal, so that they tend to last longer. It's got the blade change wrench right here on the back for easy blade changing. It's a right-facing saw blade, so since I was left-handed, it made it quite a bit easier to cut and see the blade, at least, and that was one of the reasons why I purchased the saw as well. Have a right-facing saw blade. So let's talk about performance real quick, and this is where I was a little bit disappointed with this saw. It does provide more power when cutting compared to DeWalt's smaller saw, especially when doing crosscuts. However, if you are cutting lengthwise 2x4 material or several pieces of material at the same time, it will bog down, and I'm not sure if it has some sort of a clutch system or something that keeps it from starting if there's any pressure on the blade. So it's pretty touchy there. So it doesn't provide as much power, definitely not as much power as corded, and most likely not as much power as a flex volt saw of similar size. I haven't tried that saw specifically, but I imagine it would cut through material a little bit better. So another issue that I had as a left-hander was the fact that this line at 0 here is right where the saw blade is, on the left side of the saw blade. So if you're cutting and you're keeping the material on the right side of the blade and you're trying to follow the line, you're just kind of guessing your kerf of your blade on this side. So it's hard to make a very precise cut. If you're following the guide, you have to follow the blade, and that was a little bit frustrating. I would have liked to see a full-size kerf line here, even though I realize that kerf sizes change depending on the blade you're using, but that's something that I preferred from the smaller saw. Another issue that I had with this saw, which it's very likely that it's been fixed, or it was just this particular saw, but this saw would eat my 5 amp hour batteries. So it not only would deplete the charge really quickly, but it actually burned out a couple of my batteries. I was cutting, I believe, 2x12 material lengthwise. I think it draws too much power, and it'll just suck the life out of the batteries, basically. So I would recommend using 6 amp hour or larger batteries. So I'm not sure if, like I said, if it's just this saw or if it's the model. And I've had this for a little while, but so overall, unfortunately, I can't really recommend this particular saw model. If you want a cordless saw with more power, I would go ahead and upgrade a flex volt and get that saw. That's something I didn't want to do, but right now for DeWalt, I can't recommend this unless they've seriously changed the power draw on this. So I've owned other brands in the past with the full-size cordless model, and those saws did not have as much power as this saw. This does have more power than those. However, I think it has either poor power management or something, and it tends to drain the batteries. So it worked fine with 6 amp hour batteries, and in that case it worked pretty well. But for the reason that I got it, it didn't really fulfill its purpose for me. So that's my opinion on it. If you found this video helpful at all, give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And if you want to see more tool reviews, go ahead and subscribe. I'd appreciate that too. And if you have a particular cordless tool that you'd like to see a review on, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd love to see that, or something of that sort. Thank you. Have a great day.